This episode's sponsored by LadyFootlocker.com. You have a lot going on. Work, school, friends, kids, cocktail parties. Go prepared and look good while you're doing it. Head to everydaytriggers.tv/lady to save 10% off orders $50 or more at LadyFootlocker.com. Welcome to Common Man Cocktails. I'm your host, Derek Schomer. Today, we're doing a little outside shot to introduce the coconut rum episode. So what I want to do is just get the coconut prepared, and it's real simple, and explain what you're going to need for some tools if you're going to do this at home. What I use is real coconuts and a drill. So you got to get yourself a drill. This is my Makita here with my drill. I already drilled, that's a word, the holes for the into the coconut with this big drill bit here. I use a nice thick one to get the coconut out. It's going to come out a little slow because I only drilled one hole, but it'll do the job. I suggest cleaning your drill bit first. I mean, you could, I guess, put in some drywall and then drill through your coconut, but I wouldn't suggest that. Just, you know, some dishwasher soap. Clean it out like you'd clean anything. If you want to go crazy, maybe boil it. Not that crazy. Then what I have are two coconuts, these guys here, and I drilled right through one of the eyes of each. And there's green coconuts too, but you don't want to use the green coconuts for this. There's more liquid in here than in the green coconuts. I think there's more flesh in the green, or meat, if you will, in the green coconuts. And I'm using just the Collins glass so that you could get a perspective of what it kind of should look like and how much you'll fill with a single coconut. So here we go. Ready? It's going to pour a little slow because there's only one hole, so it's got to get the oxygen or the air through there. I'll let that go for a minute. So we got two of those. The other things you're going to use, oh really? No barking. Sit down. Is some of these balls glasses. Abby! Stop. Anyway, so these are the balls glasses we're going to use for the final product. I don't have any rum yet because I kind of forgot to buy it, so this is going to be a multi-part episode. So what we're going to do is put the rum in here with the coconut in the end, and we're going to let it settle. For now, we're just going to get the coconut water out. So it looks like that guy doesn't have too much in there. We'll pour the rest right in here. And you're going to want to filter it because there's some dirt from the or coconut stuff in there. There'll also be some pieces of coconut, but not really worried about those. What you just want to get out is the dust from the shell. So run it through like a coffee filter or something like that, and you've got yourself some coconut water. And we're going to use that coconut water for Friday's episode where we're going to make a coconut cocktail. But right now what you have is these empty coconuts. These things are tough nut to crack. So what we're going to do is I'm going to bang it and crack it open. But before I do that, even though this one looks a little split, I'm going to throw it in the oven for 15 minutes, get it nice and hot, then let it cool a little bit, and that'll make the shell brittle so we can hit it with a hammer. So a few things you're going to need. You're going to probably want a flathead screwdriver, a hammer, something to drill through, take the coconut water out, a couple of these to hold the final product, rum, so get a 750 milliliter bottle of rum, and a drill, we said all that. And next part, which we'll cut to right now, thanks to editing, we'll go through and we're gonna break these open and maybe peel out some of this fleshy stuff, because that's the only thing we want is inside there. The rest of it's all just work. So, all right, let's go do that. All right, in the next phase, what we're going to do is we're going to take the pineapples. We're going to take the coconuts. We're going to throw them in the oven, and we're going to leave them on there. Preheat the oven if you want. Leave it on there for about 15 minutes. No more, really. You don't want to burn them. You just want to basically get the shell a little brittle. And what that's going to do is just, if there's any minute cracks or anything in that shell, it will help it just crack open when you don't even have to do anything. Just sit it there. Wait a few minutes, wait for it to cool down after it's done, and you'll start to hear it crickle and crackle and make all these weird noises. I'll show you that in a minute after we time-lapse through the 15 minutes. The other thing to note, I think I had said it earlier, I was a little incorrect, is there's two different looking coconuts. There's a green coconut, and then there is a brown coconut. And they're the same coconut, it's just one has had its husk removed. So it's got the little stringy brown stuff on it. And one's usually going to be your mature coconut, which is the brown, and then your green one is the immature coconut. And if you cut the green ones, you're going to get a lot more liquid out of it. In that case, that when we decided to drain the liquid out of ours, we got a small amount, like right about up to here. So you'd probably almost fill this thing if you used a green coconut. So if you're looking to make a lot of coconut water for something, you probably want to shop around for the green ones. If you're looking for more meat, to get the like white meat, maybe coconut milk or something like that, or say coconut rum, you're going to want the more mature ones, because we're really looking for the meat. The water is nice to have, but that's not the end goal. So we'll wait our 15 minutes, and then we'll start talking about what we're going to do with the simple syrup. All right. All right, our 15 minutes have gone by, and what we're going to do next is quite special. I want to show you what the coconuts look like. We're going to go back outside again and bang these guys open and start taking out some of the flesh. But what I wanted to do is show you what it will look like coming out of the oven after about 15-20 minutes of just sitting still. You'll get this cool little, sometimes they'll crack, you can see right inside. There was a minute hairline crack that looked similar to these little edgings on here, but they opened up. This one started to crack. It's making some noises, but it cracked along the top ridge line a little bit. And what I did to just kind of help it along is take a screwdriver and just tweak it around the edge, and you're going to probably end up being able to take the whole top right off. Whoa! Like that. Check it out. So what you have here, if this wasn't the side that had the hole drilled in it, you can use this as a cup. And no, you can leave that there. I'll handle that later. You can wash it out because it's going to have like some brown bits in it from all the outside edging. But this is the part we want, is this white part. What we don't want is that shell. So we're going to bang the shell off, take the white stuff out, the fleshy bits, the meats, and we're going to blend them. Let's see, is the blender on here? Yeah, so there's a little chopper. If you have like a little electronic chopper, you can just go whoop, whoop, and get it to kind of chop up a little bit into something that's a little more manageable, kind of like a, not as much as a powder, but little chunks. That'll help. Then what we're going to do is we're going to make a simple syrup, which we do on the show all the time. And what we're going to do in this case is 1.5 ounces of water and 12 ounces or 1.5 cups of sugar. We're going to let them sit. Now the heat's not on right now because I don't want to cook it immediately. What I really want to do is just kind of let it sit and have the sugar absorb so it gets more of a liquid. Then we'll start boiling it, and we're going to put the meat in it later so that you could get the heart of what the coconut rum is going to be. So next, we'll go outside and we'll start banging on some coconuts. All right, let's go. All right, so the next step we're going to do, which I kind of started just to move this along a little bit, is to get through some of the shell. So what you want to do to get through the shell is, the only real two things I use right now is a flathead screwdriver, preferably, and a hammer. You can clean them off if you want to. My goal in the end is I'm going to clean off all the meat anyway that comes out of here, so I'm not too concerned. I clean a little bit of everything, but realistically, we'll do the cleaning part later. So that's kind of what it looks like when you hit it with a hammer. I'll hit this one again. And you don't have to like hit it hard because it's so brittle from putting it in the oven that it cracks right open, right? So now you got all your little pieces. Try crack this one a little bit. Some of the parts will start to fall off, and you can probably peel most of them back. It's kind of messy, which is why I decided to do it outside, because all the just the hairs and everything. If you're lucky, you're going to get this just to fall right out. And what you have here is the coconut meat with the thin shell in the back. And what you're going to need to do with that little shell to get that off is what I've done, or what I usually do, is use a potato peeler to just peel off this. It's like a thin shell casing on the edge of this thing that you got to get off. At this point, you just want to get the hard shell off, and in many cases, what you could do is just pry it off with your flathead screwdriver, and you'll get smaller pieces depending on how creative and you get. It does want to stick. What you don't want to do is stick yourself. But if you're lucky, you're going to get big old pieces off, big chunks, and this is really the hardest part of the entire process of making coconut rum. And this is why it's not really cost effective unless you really want a badass rum. So this stuff is all just shell. You can toss that, get rid of it. So what we're going to do, the rest of this little mess here, is I'm gonna peel it or get it all into this little Tupperware bowl, bring it inside, wash it, and we'll move on to the next part. Well, maybe I'll show a little bit of the peeling and then blend it and get to the making the actual the stew, the soup, the sugary coconut mess. That'll be our next step. So I'm gonna get back to doing this, and with the magic of filming, we'll do the rest inside. All right. All right, so what we've done now is we've hammered it down, and what I did is we went along and we cracked it open. We got all this nice little white meaty substance in here, peeled off the edge, and what you want to do for that is, I left a little piece here. This took, I was timing it, the stuff's everywhere. I was timing it, it was about, I'd say, 15 minutes of hard labor. This is not really that easy to do. This is probably, besides the strength you need to crack some of the nut off of the actual coconut, peeling this like that and making a, you know, just peeling off the outer edges to get that meat to just be clean, then wash it down and everything. It takes some time, but it's the love of the craft. So what we end up with is a little left over. This is typically why I use 2 coconuts instead of just 1 coconut. First, I like to have a little extra coconut flavor in there. Secondly, if I get frustrated with the smaller pieces trying to cut them off, since you have 2, you get a lot more larger pieces to work with. You could pick and choose the ones you want, and then either throw the rest away or figure out some other creative thing to do with the coconut. And then what we got is our grinder. So I've got it here, the little grinder. And I don't know if this is gonna work on camera. It's probably not gonna work on design, but I'll show you what it looks like when we're done too. Anyway, let's just try and see. So I got a chop and a grind. I'm gonna go with a chop. Make more. See what grind does. Ooh. That's good. All right, let's see what it looks like so far. And this is a trial and error process. I gotta unhook the thing. Could be a little messy. See, this one could probably go through a little more grinding, but it's a good start to show off what we have. If I can, I swear the bottom comes off. There we go. So what we basically end up with is a ground up dry coconut substance, and these bigger chunks we can regrind them up a little bit, maybe take them out, put them in with the next batch I have, and we're gonna just keep grinding it up. After we've got it all ground, we'll show you what to do next. All right, I'm gonna continue doing this. Is that cool? All right, next step, what we're gonna do is we've got the simple syrup boiling. I just started it up, it's been going for about 2 minutes, maybe a little more now. It's starting to get a little warm. So what I wanna do is I'm gonna take the grounds that and you don't want it to get too much. If it starts to brown and smell like caramel, then you have caramel, you know, simple syrup. And here's our lovely pile of coconut grounds. And what you're gonna do is just, right as it's boiling in there, feed them in, and you want to pretty much stack it so it's nice and packed with coconut, and to the point where you can't even tell it's simple syrup. It's just like coconut in like almost like a lava of coconut. There's just so much in there. And if you make enough where you have a little extra, you can kind of measure it. If you want to add more, if you seem like you might have put way too much, like it's piled up with coconut, you don't see any liquid in here, then you know probably to stop. In my case, I made just a perfect amount. That way you end up with a little more. If you cut 1 coconut and you don't feel like you have enough in there, you're gonna be short, and you're either gonna have to stop the process and go get another coconut, or just make a weaker rum, or a weaker coconut flavored rum. So the last step, what we're going to do is we're going to put the remaining simple syrup and coconut mixture into the actual glasses. I did one already, somewhat. So it looks like this. It really, probably from your perspective, it looks a little white, but it's kind of a ground up dryness. There's really not a lot. It's not appetizing looking. So what I was doing is taking a lot of the mashed up, blended and soaking coconut and sticking it inside the containers themselves and trying to get them both equal, and then we'll pour the rest of the stuff in there as best we could with some amount of mess, because it's not a clean process per se. And there is some liquid, and you want to keep that liquid in here because that's the simple syrup, that's the sugars. Now we're done. Now what you want to do is you want to pick your favorite rum, whatever that happens to be. In this case, I'm going to try Bacardi. I have a couple here. This one that I made, I've used on the show before. That guy right here, which is the one I made first, is, in a cool container, is Crucian. This guy here. And the stuff that's currently sitting in here, you can see it kind of separates, and it'll float to the top. That was Don Q Cristal. And so I figured we'll try a Bacardi one. This is just Bacardi Superior. You don't need to go real high end because you're not looking for too much excessive flavor out of the light rum, because it's really all about the coconut at this point. Although I do want to try putting the two together and seeing what the tastes would be differently between the Don Q, the Crucian, and the Bacardi. Leave a little room at the top. Put the covers on. And you're gonna let these guys sit for 2 to 3 weeks or so. And I suggest you taste them every now and then. You also, by the way, you want to let the simple syrup mixture cool down so that it's not hot to the touch. And then what you'll do is you got these guys in here, shake them, drop them down. You do that once a day, every day you walk by, put it on nowhere near the windows, but someplace on your path to wherever you go during the day. And when you walk by, just give it a shake so it gets all cloudy. Put it down. In 3 weeks, we can take these out and see how they taste. And so maybe I'll make a separate video on how I'm going to go about straining it, because that's always a creative process to get that coconut out. Because the end result is you want something it's going to still, you're not going to have a perfect filter because you don't have a facility, but you can get it to that color by getting out all the coconut pieces that are kind of floating in here and getting just that raw liquid. So next episode, well, no, 3 weeks from now, a couple weeks in one of the episodes, we'll go through how we're going to try that. But that is how you start the process of infusing your coconut rum using real coconuts. If you want to save yourself a lot of time, go to an Asian food restaurant or Asian food grocery store and pick up a frozen bag of ground coconut, and that will save you the whole process that we've gone through. You just have to do the simple syrup and coconut mixture, this part, and you'd be done. You wouldn't need to grind and shave and all that stuff. So that's one way to cut yourself a lot of time if you have that available to you. So there you go. I'm your host, Derek Schomer. We're teaching you how to make coconut infused rum. My head in the picture?
Yep.
Yeah?
Good.
Everything's good?
Uh-huh. It's
Alright.
just there's a camera thing on your head.
A camera thing on my head? Oh yeah, the display.
Oh.
That's cool.
Okay, everything looks good.